Flashback, Episode 14. Karen Forgiveness, Pleading, in New York City of Dis. Katie Taylor and we were leaving a train station, headed downtown in the Bronx borough of New York City of Dis. Our plan was to check out Soros's Manhattan penthouse and figure out if it could be a place that was secure enough for Soros to store and protect the devil's soul-draining crown of Baal. And so we headed to the closest subway entrance stairwell so we could travel to Manhattan, where Soros's super posh penthouse was located. We had barely walked a block, with many, many more blocks to go to get to our subway entrance. With only a block into our journey, we saw a woman. She was in her 20s, pretty, well-dressed, and wore quality makeup. Her clothes suggested that she was well off, that she had money and was successful. The woman was on her knees, pleading, begging, imploring. She needed forgiveness for being white. She needed to pay for her unearned white privilege. She needed to apologize for her white ignorance. Like I said, she was pleading to a thug of a man who happened to be black. He was a huge man with wild eyes and equally wild, wispy dreadlock hair. Although he wore glasses, his clothes were ripped and tattered. He was intimidating. He appeared like he was going to mug her. I wondered, was this woman putting on an act of regret and apology to avoid being mugged or harmed? Was she intimidated so much that she would plead and just say anything just to avoid the danger and threat? Did she genuinely believe that she was at fault and was bad because of the color of her skin? Or possibly because of her ancestry? I wondered, how is discrimination against a person of one color justified, but it is not justified against a person of a different color? No, it was all racist. The victim in this case was a white woman. It was like when I intervened on behalf of Katie when she was a waitress in that rural cafe called the Big Hut. I could not stand by and let wickedness happen. There was no just reason for a woman to be pleading in the streets for forgiveness, for things that she never did or that were beyond her control. Never mind if any of the inequality or inequity allegations even made sense from her apparent mugger. And so I walked over to that woman near the intimidating thug, and I questioned, "What's going on here? Why are you begging for this man to forgive you for being the person you were born as?" The thug refused to accommodate the woman any time to answer my questions. He answered for her. He ranted, "She is guilty of systemic racism. She is part of the problem. She is an entitled, rich Karen." He declared passionately, "I have been a victim of racism my whole life. The least she can do is admit her part in my harm and give me what money she has in payback, as restitution, in reparations." He demanded, "It is only fair. A little money now to offset my life of persecution and my life of abuse by her people." I answered the man's assertions attempting to reason with him. Look, I have no doubt that you have suffered racism and its abuse in your life. We all have struggles, I continued. You may not believe it, and I am sure certainly it was not to your extent, but even I have suffered racism in my life, even physical assault, solely because I was white and because I liked to sit in the back of the bus. The thug, clearly struggling to hear me out, did wait, so I had to give him some credit there. It seemed to me that he expected that I would eventually leave, and he would get his inequity guilt-mugging money in the end from his victim, the white woman, that he judged as a Karen. It made sense, really. The thug preferred the path of least conflict to get the money from his Karen victim. Listening to me might result in my leaving, and so he listened, even if he was agitated. Well, I continued my story. Like I was saying, I did not know then that minorities were once pressured to ride in the back of the bus. Well, there were 2 black kids, and they punched and kicked me because I dared to sit in the back of the bus. They declared the back of the bus was exclusively their domain, and it was domain to minorities exclusively. It was not for me because my skin color was white. We all suffer emotional and physical abuse and discrimination in our lives, I said. No one is immune to discrimination, and I suffered ageism later in life as well. First, I was discriminated because I was too young. How could I be so talented? Or be allowed to even legally work? And later, I was declared to be too old, to have relevant skills. I was said to be old school. So yeah, I believe you, I told the thug, when you say that you suffered from racism. But believe me too, that I and many others, many white people included, have suffered from racism at times in their lives also. I stated very clearly, this woman is no more guilty of racism than you are. Neither of you perpetrated any racism, verbally or physically or expressively. In fact, you're demanding that she be subordinate to you and give you her money that she worked herself hard for and you did not work for. That is tantamount to racism by making her effectively into your slave. You made her go to work as a slave to earn money so that she could just come back with her fruits of labor, her earned money, and give it to you. You see, she is your slave. She works and gets nothing. For her work, you take her money as her master and slave owner. Whatever the excuse, this is guilt mugging, which is mugging just by another name. I asked the man, can you just let this go and walk away? The thug countered angrily, I listened to your BS. No, she is a Karen and she is a racist, and she must pay restitution. She must pay me reparations. Pay me now, pay me, he repeatedly demanded. He decreed, she owes me money, she owes me. She needs to pay against her inequity privilege, her debt to me. She needs to pay up now, he growled. The team had stayed back, letting the thug and I talk. Taylor had no interest in waiting any longer. She stepped forward and aggressively glared at the self-proclaimed victim and the inequity guilt mugger. Taylor snarled, "We all have problems and challenges. You and I are no different when it comes to suffering. My mother was killed in front of me. I have been raped. Nothing was easy for me. I have seen tragedy and suffering all over the world. I could tell you sad sob stories about all of us and of the world. But," she continued, "it's a world of little sad violins playing all of our sad, sad songs." Katie looked to the thug and she pleaded, "Please stand down. Things never end well for people that refuse Taylor's requests." She implored, "Just please let this one go, okay?" Taylor re-engaged and threatened, "You heard me. You are not special, and you are not deserving of extorted, extra, free stuff, much less money." Taylor warned, "I will not let you threaten or mug or do anything to this woman." Taylor leaned towards the thug threateningly, "You leave now or I will hurt you. Simple as that. Are you staying or are you going?" she asked. The thug smiled at Taylor and put a fake face on. He played the role of being a terrorized man and a man of great sorrow. Tears somehow flowed from his eyes. He screamed, "Another Karen! Another Karen! An entitled white bee of a Karen! And she threatened me! And she threatened me! They outnumber me too! They outnumber me! They're all white extremists! White extremists! I'm scared! I'm so scared!" He cried, "They want to Floyd me! Help me!" he yelled. Quickly, others formed a crowd and encircled us, all screaming, virtually chanting in rage, "Karen! Karen! Karen!" The crowd was composed of all races and skin tones. I suppose it was a diverse mob. But it was nuts. It was crazy. We stood up to defend an intimidated woman who was effectively being mugged. Her mugger justified his actions, using guilt as his mugging weapon. He was guilt mugging her over alleged inequity in his life, and the mugger lacking reparation payments to offset her life's entitlements that she was born into upset him. And the result was that she and we were all villains because he was upset that she would not give him her money. We were evil in the eyes of the throngs of people. They were all yelling and threatening us. I looked to the woman to offer help. I extended my hand to her and asked if she would like to come with us. But the woman declined and offered instead to pay her money to the guilt mugger as restitution for her benefiting from her ancestors' sins. As restitution against her ancestors. She wanted the conflict just to end. And if giving her money was the safest and most expedient way to end the scary situation, that's what she would do. Well, I said aloud in front of the crowd, "You cannot help someone that will not help themselves. We tried." Taylor growled disapprovingly. "Pathetic, just pathetic. Where is her dignity? She has no apparent dignity." And with that, we withdrew and finished our walk to the subway, resuming our quest to head to Manhattan. As we left, the mob, dozens of people, they had their mobile phones out, Apparently, the onlookers had been, and many still were, video recording us. They had the entire incident on their phones and would undoubtedly upload them to the internet and to social media. Yes, we were all recorded on dozens, perhaps hundreds of people's smartphones. And no doubt, I expected those videos would soon be all over social media and all over the internet. It was just a matter of time. I wondered what having all of those videos of us up on the web might mean for us in the future.